deal with different type of personalities, different cultures. That's one thing I challenge you guys to go out and do. Get to know different cultures because it shapes how you go about things. When I was working in a hotel, we had a big Hispanic population, So what did I do? I took out time to learn about sillas, chairs. Just having conversations. So now when I need them to stay and, bust down a room or build up a room and put some chairs up, they do it for me because there's a connection there. And that's, like I said, that's my strength. I connect with people and I can get you to run through a wall for me. And that's important, not literally, but y'all know what I mean. Good question. Yes?
Do you ever have times that you felt like quitting, and how did you handle it?
Have I ever had times when I felt like quitting? Yes, all the time. That's part of life. You come up against that, that proverbial situation, and you're like, you know what? I got better things to do. But you persevere, and after that initial wanting to quit, you reflect, and then you go forward. You see it as a challenge. But you're always going to have times like that. Like if you think it's going to be this, then you're sadly mistaken. It's going to be this. You're going to come into some situations where you don't really know how to handle it, because you're so young in the game. But you'll figure it out. That's why I say you have to read. You have to know who you are. You can't, overreact. You don't want to underreact, but you just, through your experiences, your successes, and your failures, it's times when you want to quit. It's times, like I said, and I'll go back, I'll draw on my NFL. I wanted to be in the NFL. That's what I wanted. And the pain of it, it was painful. 2-a-days with equipment, 100 degrees, helmet on, it's painful. But that pain paled in comparison to my goal of being in the NFL. So that's why I said you gotta have your passion, because there's times you're gonna want to quit. But if you're passionate about it, it's gonna pale in comparison to that pain you're going through wanting to quit. It's a good question. Good question. Yes, sir.
As a leader, how do you motivate others to be their best selves?
As a leader, how do you motivate people to be the best they can be? That's a good question. I think by doing, again, I am not beyond getting a vacuum cleaner and vacuuming this floor right now. I think when people see you do things like that aren't beyond you, they're willing to do whatever you ask them to do. And again, I'm a people person. I get to know people. When you have a relationship with people, they'll do things for you. It's almost like it's magical, But when people know, I can't emphasize this, when they know that you care, they'll do anything for you, almost anything. But that's what you got to do, man. You just got to, not put anything beyond you. Whether it's at home, some of you are going to be leaders in your home. That's part of leadership. How do you lead your family? There's different levels and types of leadership, and the way I lead my family might be different a little bit than I lead, some athletes or, lead coaches. So it's all, it all goes together, but yeah, good question. Anybody else? I've covered all, yes, sir.
Do you have a restaurant yet?
Do I have a restaurant yet? No, I do not have a restaurant yet. I've been in partnership with a restaurant that failed. I'll never do that again. I'm not big on partnerships. That was a bad experience for me. However, I haven't given up on that dream. However, it's very time consuming. And right now, the season for me is being here. And that's one thing that you'll find. And you can't be afraid. I talked about, not being afraid to fail. Sometimes you're in seasons, and I believe that. I'm a I'm a man of faith. Sometimes the words that come out of my mouth don't back that or reflect that, but I'm a man of faith. So I think, I'm here at Purdue. I'm loving what I do. Before that, I was at an all males charter school. That season for me was over. So now I'm in this season. And that's how it'll go for you guys. I can't emphasize happiness, being somewhere that you love to go to every day. That's so important. And that's kind of how I live my life, so you gotta have fun, man. And you gotta, if when this season over, I'm not afraid to go into the next season. That's just life for me. Again, this is me. Take from me what you will, and then shape your own, leadership style. Any other questions? Yeah. Yes, sir.
So you said it as a leader, you try and make everyone see your vision, buy into your vision.
Yeah.
What if you're in a follower position and you're really not seeing the vision of the leader?
Need to have a conversation. Remember I talked about brutally honest? You can be brutally honest with your supervisor, but you have to do it in a tactful way so they'll receive it. So that takes a lot of, ingenuity, craftiness sometimes, but you can do that. And if it's a good leader, and they're open to change, then they'll get it. But you have to present it in a way, that they'll be open-minded. You can't go in there, this isn't working. We need to change it now. You're out of there. So you just got to be tactful, man. And you'll, as you go along and you have your different experiences, you'll understand how to do that. Yes, sir.
What did you do after you reached your goal? Because you say you were driven to play in the NFL, and
Yeah.
then once you moved on from that, how did you redirect your passion into your?
So then, my passion, I knew where I wanted to go, but I wasn't in a position to go there yet. So I wanted to, get to the restaurant business. I was diverted a little bit, and I'll talk about it. So NFL is over. The realization that I don't want to do this anymore, that season is over. So I immediately said, I just can't sit idly on the sidelines. That's not me. I got to do something. So the opportunity afforded itself that I went into high school coaching and teaching. So I was in that season along with the college coaching season. I was in the coaching season, for about 5 years. While I was still playing, I had formed a company. So I was buying real estate, which became another passion of mine. So that's what I did. I formed a company, and then once I got out of corporate America with the hotel chain, I went to work for myself full time, building my real estate portfolio and working for myself. Nothing more gratifying than, those shows you see on TV. That's what I was doing, flipping houses. I tear the whole house down, back to the walls, build it back up. Every house is different, and I like challenges like that. So that's kind of what I did, and tried the restaurant thing, tried to get my feet wet in it, and I understand that if you're not there every day and making an impact on your business, you probably shouldn't be in that business. But that was a tough financial lesson to learn, but that's all a part of it. But yeah. Any other questions? Come on now, bring them to me.
Have you ever encountered someone you found annoying and you had to deal with?
Have I ever found someone that was annoying, and how did I deal with it? Run. No, you have every situation, you have to confront. You can't run from it. I said that facetiously. You can't run from it. You have to deal with it. And I'm the type of person, we're gonna have a conversation, and I'm gonna build you up. I'm going to make things, make you aware of things, particularly if it's affecting other people other than me around you or us. So, you know, we face it head on. We formulate a plan of how to articulate it, because remember, depending on which generation it is, I got to be tactful in how I present it. You know, so you can't, like you guys, I can't just come in here and start berating you, you know, and start getting forceful. You guys will shut down me so fast. But baby boomers, they're used to it. You know, they got a little more thicker skin. And I'm not trying to say you guys don't have thick skin, but you know, we've done our research. You know, I can communicate to you guys. But yeah, that's, you know, you just got to face it direct, head on, come up with a plan and articulate it and try to help them. Maybe sometimes people don't know that they're being annoying. You know, you try to educate them. And sometimes when you hire people, you can have good people, but in the wrong position. So that may be their way of reaching out or, you know, telling you, hey, this position isn't for me. So you got to read all those cues. And that's part of becoming a great leader, understanding the people who are around you. That person might be crying out to move me. And sometimes you're going to have to move people. You don't just kick people to the curb. You know, you got good people. You had a process of hiring people. You just might have them in the wrong position. So you move them around. Good question. Come on, give me some more questions. I'm having fun.
How would you say your personal leadership style has changed over your life?
How has my personal leadership style changed? Boy, I've become much more patient, much more relaxed, much more aware. I'm a better listener. You know, while I'm not a D or dominant personality, I can be kind of stubborn a little bit, you know, so you've got to adjust that. But the biggest thing I say is listening. Listen to people, you know. When you come in my office, I can't be doing this. Now, what's your name? Tori. Now, what'd you say, Tori? Okay. No, I gotta look you in your eye, talk to you like you're a person, and let you know that I care about you. That's what you got, that's how it's been. It's, you know, I wasn't always a great listener. My wife would tell you I'm still not a listener. I don't listen, you know, but you got just listen to people and just mature. The older you get, you know, some things you just naturally get as the older you get. Not saying that you can't get them at a younger age, and most of you will, because you're going through this series. I didn't have a series like this. If I had a series like this, I would have been reading, you know, John Gordon, Stephen Covey, Charles Duhigg, all of that stuff. I didn't have anybody putting that in my mind. You guys have taken the biggest step just by being in this series and getting all these nuggets, taking these nuggets, then you make your portfolio and then you start building off of it. Good question, Tori. Questions? Yes.
Has there ever been a time where you've questioned your leadership ability?
All the time. Has there ever been a time when I questioned my leadership ability? Yes. You know, when things don't go quite the way you want them, that's why you got to be ready for change. You know, leading, you could have 10 people in the department. Each one of them are going to be unique. And sometimes you're going to think you got it pegged. Like, no, what's your name? Sam. Man, I just knew Sam was an I. So when I communicated to him, I communicated this way, and it just didn't work. What am I doing here? All the time. You don't get discouraged. You just understand that sometimes you miss. You think you got it, you miss. You know how many times they've missed in the NFL on hiring coaches, keeping players, drafting players, number one draft choices? Everybody gets it wrong, but the NFL keeps going, and you can't get stuck in it. You got to move on, change, adapt, understand, learn from it, and move on. Because it's never as good or bad as it appears. Yes, sir.
How have you dealt with the situations in your career when you realized you weren't happy or you weren't satisfied?
How have I dealt with the situations in my career when I wasn't happy and I wasn't satisfied? That's a very good question. Again, this is me. Deuces. I'm out. Because it's not fair to my organization and it's not fair or healthy for me. I could have tried to get another 2 or 3 years out of the NFL. I could have. I was an established veteran, 7 years in. If I took the time to every time someone called me and said, hey, we want you to come and try out, I probably could have got another 2 or 3 years in, but that's not who I am. So I move on to the next season. I'm not afraid of it. And that's just how I'm wired, you know. So I wasn't afraid to go to the next step. I prepared myself for the next step. And that's very important. You got to anticipate the changes. What's going to happen? What's happening in my industry? What's happening in my market? You know, you got to anticipate the change. So I anticipated the changes, and rather than, you know, be unhappy and fight it, I just chose to move on in all situations. I had a government job for about 1.5 years. Didn't like it. Wasn't for me. Moved on. And you see people, I saw people who were just like me, unhappy, who had been there for 10, 15, 20 years, but were afraid because they liked that security. I mean, I like security too, but at the end of the day, I want to be happy. That's more important to me than anything, is being happy. Being at a place that I want to go to every single day. That's far more important to me than money. I had money. I had no money and I had money. None of it equals to happiness. I want to be happy. Now, I mean, you're not going to always be happy literally, but you know what I mean. Good question. Very good question. Sometimes that's tough to do. Move on. But you guys are more apt to do it than the baby boomers were. You guys aren't going to stay if you're not happy. You guys are out. 3 years, 5 years, y'all gone. We going on to the next thing. So that's good about your generation. Any more questions? Yes.
When you got your dream of playing in the NFL, did it make you as happy as you thought it was? And like, if it didn't, how did you deal with that?
Good question. Once I fulfilled my dream and getting to the NFL, did it make me as happy as I thought it would? Yes and no. The initial gratification was off the world. It's like, you know, you sit in your locker, once you make that final roster, and you're like, wow, Reggie White, Randall Cunningham, Keith Byers, Andre Waters, Keith Jackson right next to my locker. You're like, man, I made it. This is unreal. Guys you were watching on TV. But then you understand there's a business side to the NFL, and that took away from my love of the game. I still love it. I still think it's the greatest sport in the world, team sport, but that part of it kind of brought me down back to the realization that this is a business. This is a job. And just like any other job, it was basically 9 to 5. I was off half a day Monday, off on Tuesday, go back to Wednesday. So my weekend was Monday, Tuesday. But it was 9 to 5, get there at 9 o'clock. You're basically done by 5 o'clock. But yeah, the business side of it, I just didn't like. Because you got to negotiate contracts, and then, you know, they try to lowball you, you know, you not giving you what you're worth, and you understand it's a business. So that, yeah, that kind of took from it. Good question. Great question. You guys are asking some good questions. You must be engineers, smart people. Any other questions? Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate being here. You guys were great questions. I wish you all the success in the world. If there's anything, and I don't just say this literally, I'm in the athletic department, is that if there's anything I could ever do for you, my door is always open. Just like I tell my athletes, my door is always open. You probably have to remind me that I spoke to your group, But yeah, you can call my assistant Mary Moore. She'll set up a time and we can talk further if you feel the need. So cool. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I didn't go over, did I? Okay.
For some reason,